Our journey begins with a 6-hour flight from Minneapolis to Reykjavik, Iceland. Then after a 1-hour layover, we catch a second flight to Frankfurt, Germany. While flying over Greenland, both on the way and on the return trip home, the weather was clear so that we could see the coastal mountains of Greenland. Greenland is the world's largest non-continental island. 81% is covered by a giant ice sheet. The weight of the ice sheet has depressed the central land area to form a basin lying more than 984 feet below sea level, while elevations rise suddenly and steeply near the coast. The highest mountain on Greenland's coast is 12,139 feet above sea level. The ice sheet eventually flows to the coast where it forms glaciers before calving off into the sea as icebergs. While flying off the coast of Greenland, we can see some of the icebergs floating in the ocean. 85% of all icebergs found in the North Atlantic come from the ice fjords of Greenland's west coast. The iceberg that sank the Titanic is believed to have started off as a mile-long iceberg when it calved off a glacier and floated down one of Greenland's fjords. As we fly into Iceland, we can see the barren landscape. In the 12th century, Iceland had huge forests, but human settlement had a huge impact on the isolated ecosystem of thin volcanic soils. The forests were heavily exploited for firewood and timber. This deforestation, along with overgrazing by sheep imported by settlers, caused a loss of critical topsoil due to erosion. Today, very few trees remain. Our layover is less than an hour at the airport, which gives us little time to get off the plane, go through customs, find our way to the next gate, and catch the next plane for our flight to Germany. We thought the layover in Iceland would help break up the long flight to Europe and let us stretch our legs halfway through the journey. But for me, the stress of worrying about making our connecting flight with the short layover made me rethink the advantages of flying non-stop. Our flight was 15 minutes late getting into Iceland, and once we got there, we had a long line going through customs. We barely had enough time to stop and use the restrooms before boarding our next flight. Our second flight took about 3 hours to fly from Reykjavik to Frankfurt, which flew over the Netherlands just outside of Rotterdam. We could see some of the tulip fields from 39,000 feet as we flew over the Dutch countryside. After landing in Frankfurt, we took a taxi to the RV rental place, where we met up with Lothar, Monica, and Tunshin. The RV was 20 feet in length, with a nice-sized bed over the driver's compartment, a couch and dining table, a compact bathroom, and kitchen area with stove, sink, and refrigerator. After receiving instructions on how to operate the RV, we followed Monica and Lothar in their RV to a small town about an hour south of Frankfurt. This was my first time driving a vehicle in Europe, and a 6-speed manual transmission at that. Following Lothar through the narrow streets was a challenge. I asked Lothar about the narrow streets, and he said some of these buildings are 500 years old, long before the invention of cars. They don't tear down buildings to widen the roads like they do in America. Our first stop was a bicycle rental place. The RV came equipped with a nice bicycle rack on the back side. We then drove to a grocery store. Monica and Lothar had to help us with the translation of the labels on all the food packages. However, surprisingly, I thought the grocery stores were very similar to what we see in America. Most of the time you can tell what things are without being able to read the labels. Since our food storage in the RV is limited, we usually try to shop for food each day. Lothar and Monica also like to shop daily for food so that it is fresh. After getting groceries, we drove to an RV campground in Oppenheim, which is close to the Rhine River. After a long day of travel, we were ready to have some food, relax, and get some sleep. Monica made us sausage and potato salad for dinner. It was very good, and we appreciated them feeding us on our first night in Germany. We also took a walk along the trails after dinner to give Tunchen some exercise.